Hey Floss Tube, this is Christine. I'm Miss Cookie Stitcher, and this is my first Floss Tube video. It's actually the second one. I did a first one to kind of get the fidgets and the nerves out, but apparently it didn't work too well. So we'll see how it goes. I've recently discovered Floss Tube. I heard about it a while back, but didn't really have time to watch anything. During the school year, I teach high school for 5 years. For the last 5 years, I've taught ninth grade. This year, I'm moving to a different school, so it'll be ninth and 11th grade. And it's been a while since I taught 11th grade, since I've taught juniors. So it's going to be a change for me. But, you know, why not try something new? Why not add something else to my plate by doing Floss Tube, which looks like a lot of fun. I've enjoyed a lot of the videos that I've seen. I just love seeing what other people have stitched and are in the process of stitching. And sometimes I sit there watching it on TV and I take my phone out and I take pictures of stuff that I like so I can go and get it and add it to my stash. Because stash acquisition is what it's all about. I love it. And then, you know, I thought I had a big stash, and then seeing some of the ones on Floss Tube, it's just been amazing. I don't feel as bad anymore, and I get to save it for retirement, so that's good news. I'm actually using my craft room. I recently cleaned it up. You know how they get. You start 20 different projects. You have stuff everywhere. You have fabric, pins, and I finally cleaned it up and tried to organize it a little bit. And if you look, let me tilt the laptop. I got some stuff there. And the sun's finally peeking through. It had been raining and thundering for a few minutes there. And if I turn it around even further, I've got a lot of cross stitch magazines. I have my patterns. I have knitting stuff. And I have 2 crates of stash that you can't see that's over there as well. And then not joining us today on that chair is my cat Cleo. Hashtag Cleo Murder Cat on Instagram. My name is Miss Cookie Lady on Instagram. And if you just do, yes, my cat has her own hashtag. It's hashtag Cleo Murder Cat. And that's her chair. That's it. So she has decided to go harass my other cat, hashtag Kylo Gemma, because before I got Cleo, Gemma was intent on destroying my life. But now Gemma's the good cat, and Cleo's the one that decides to be a pain in the butt at the vet. So yeah, hashtag Cleo Murder Cat, check her out. She's a celebrity. But yeah, as I mentioned, I am a high school teacher, and I'm also obviously a cross stitcher. But where my name comes from is Cookie Stitcher. I just kind of used my nickname from work. The second year I started teaching, I had a student who started calling me Cookie Monster, Miss Cookie. And then the other kids, it didn't bother me. I'm like, ma'am, Miss Teacher, Miss Lady. Hey lady, hey you. I mean, I've been called pretty much almost everything, apart from my name. So I was okay with Cookie Monster. I was okay with Miss Cookie, and I was like, well, it could be so much worse. So I just kind of took it and adopted it, and so of course on Instagram I am at Miss Cookie Lady. I adopted that. It's continued on to the other school that I worked at after the first one, and hopefully I can continue it on at this new school that I'll be starting in the fall. So that's where the name comes from. Just switched it up to Stitcher on the back so that it was, you know, more Floss Tube friendly, I guess, something easy to remember, something catchy. So I've been teaching. I'm going into my 16th year. Actually, I've been teaching 14.6 years. For those who are counting, which would be retirement and payroll. So almost 15 full years. I've been stitching since 7th grade. That was back in the day when in 7th grade you took a semester of shop and a semester of home economics. It didn't matter male or female. You took both of them. So you do A day, B day. All year, A day, you'd have gym class, and then your other elective would be either home ec or shop. So I had to do a project. Mom and I went to Kmart, picked out a cross-stitch kit, 3 little bears, each were holding a letter to spell L-U-V. I gave it to my grandmother. I did some more stamp cross-stitch kits after that. And then those got boring. It took me a long time to finish them. So I started doing the counted cross-stitch. And I'd still get kits from Kmart off and on through high school and college. And then my 5th year teaching, I really picked it back up. I used to, when I lived in Florence, South Carolina, I would go to Pawleys Island, and there was a cross-stitch store that has now since closed there. And I would just walk around, and I found my first memorabilias, which was Madonna of the Garden, which will be in another video. I've got things planned out. I'm a teacher. I have lesson plans. And so I got back into it, and then it became very therapeutic for me after I had an incident with a student who threatened me, and I just needed something when I went home that calmed me down. So that's how I got back into stitching, and that was about 10, 11 years ago, and I haven't stopped since. It's just I found it very helpful, and then I moved back to Greenville in South Carolina about 5 years ago, and 5 years ago, and I have a local LNS and bead shop, Pandas Crossing, and I just found out so much more about stitching because now I had access to actually seeing what these cross-stitch supplies look like. I could buy the over-dyed fabrics. I could buy the hand-dyed floss, the cotton floss, Weeks, Gentle Art, Classic Colorworks, and I could get these patterns because you can't just get them anymore at like a Hobby Lobby or Michael's. They're all mostly kits if you do find anything. And I just didn't know what to look up online. So I didn't know. Now I know. Now I can find it, and I go into my store and ask Donna for stuff, and she tells me she can order it, and I give her first shot, and that's how I roll now. I stitch all the things. So I've decided that I'm going to show you today some of the back to school stuff. Since I am going back to school in about a week and a half, a week from this coming Monday, it's the 13th of August. I mean, who knows when I'm going to get this video up, and the kids go back the 20th of August. So I'm going to be back in the classroom after another week or so, and I'm just thinking of stuff to put in. And I had a few things, but I've added some more. So I think that's going to be really fun. They may not notice it. It took a while. I had some of the stuff up in my classroom for a year, and it was May. I'm like, I really like that. When did you put it up there? Like, August. And really? So, but I mean, come on, So the first one I have for you, I got at a retreat at Pandas Crossing this year's. Spring retreat was the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees. So we did Amy Brecken's The Early Bird. The early bird can have the worm because worms are gross and mornings are stupid. Okay? I have to get up early. I don't like it, but I do it. And I used to have first block planning, which was nice because then I could have my coffee at work and just kind of like wake up for another hour and a half. I also had an hour drive. So that's 2.5 hours of wake up time right there. Now it's half an hour and I have a first block. So, oops. I'm going to have to work a little harder at waking up in the morning. So this is the final product. And yes, it is crooked in the frame. Whatever. It's going in my classroom. I was like, it was fine before I put it in the frame. And then, now it's crooked. Whatever. So I did make a few changes. Like I gotta get used to this. His wing's a little wonky because I stitched it wrong. And then the insides of the letters are supposed to be filled in, and I just didn't like the look. And there's Cleo, so if the table shakes, it's Cleo's fault. And then the A's and the N's were a little bit different, so I just stitched them the way I like them. So, but otherwise, it's exactly the way it's supposed to be. Funny note, when she first held up the pattern, and I was in the back of the room, she was in the front. I'm like, oh, look, it's a Sasquatch. It's a robin, Cook. Come on, it's a robin. It's a bird. Bird, bees, there's no, it's not the birds and the bees and the Sasquatch in the trees. So, you know, but I think it's cute. I love it. I think a lot of people can relate to this. So, that's going up in the classroom. So another one that I finished recently, my friend Kelly gave me these patterns. She was my secret palette work. It's this thing we did where we put our names in a hat and you pulled one out and you would buy gifts for the person whose name you pulled out. And I got some Post-it notes from her. I love Post-it notes. I've used most of those up since then. In my line, you just use all the Post-it notes you can. You find them, you use them. Cute, not cute, yellow, whatever color, you use them. So, and then she wrote a note on it, and she's like, this is before I knew it was her. She goes, I hope this, something along the lines of like, I hope I didn't go too far with this. Crippling anxiety is my cardio. I laughed so hard when I saw this. I'm like, oh my God, it's so true. All right. Especially when I got it, I was having a really hard time. I was very anxious this year, very stressed out, and I was able to finish this in an afternoon. It was a really easy, cute stitch. In fact, I can't even tell you where you can get it. It's stitched exactly as charted, just on 8 o'clock. This one was by Stitchy Little Fox on Etsy. I love stitching, snark, sass, and swear words. Me too. I love all of those things. Can't always do the swear words because I teach. It's a very fine line. Sometimes things like come out because there's like a spider this big in your classroom. You can't help but say a word. You know, and like, so holy shit comes out of your mouth before you drop the textbook on it. It's a spider this big. It happens. So thank you, Kelly, for that one. Love it. It's gorgeous. The other one is super snarky. It is by Love for Cross Stitch on Etsy, who does fun and subversive cross stitch. I salt my food with the tears of my students. I don't really think I've made any of them cry. I don't think so. I did. We were watching a movie that was super sad, and I sat there crying, and she cried. But, I mean, like, but yeah, like, I just thought this was super cute. Both of those are going to be put into a hoop and put on the wall with the next 3, which are super fun, too. They're all dimensions kits. I did them about 2 years ago. The perfect kind of teenage attitude slogan. I know As If is very 90s. I mean, come on. I grew up with Clueless. But this really personifies the attitude that's in my classroom on a regular basis. The eye rolling, the sucking of teeth, the sighing. And that's mine. I'm not even talking about the students. Like, that's just me. Alright. So that was a dimensions kit. Yes, I still kept it. What else? The next one. I'd agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong. I have a lot of these moments. Especially when I'm talking to a student who went and got their doctorate in conspiracy theories at Google University. Ancient aliens. You know, the 9/11 was an inside job. We're still on that. We're still on the whole birther thing. And I'm just like, y'all need to stop. We're not even talking about that. So, leave your degrees from Google at the door. And my favorite one, I had a student who insisted that Charles I of England was not executed by Parliament. He was. And I'm like, he kind of was. There's evidence and there's proof for that. He's like, no, I don't believe it. It didn't happen that way. I'm like, it actually did. We have evidence. We have people who were there who wrote about it. They're lying. I'm like, okay. And then my favorite one, because I have said this one before over, like, silly stuff like, I wanted a mechanical pencil, not a wooden pencil. Suck it up, Buttercup. You get what you get. I'm not buying mechanical pencils when I can get, a bunch of pencils for $1 that are wooden. Go sharpen it. There's a pencil sharpener. So Suck It Up, Buttercup has been, in fact, going to be the title of my book when I write all these weird experiences I've had in teaching. So yeah, all of these were really quick to stitch up. The Amy Brooken one, the Dimensions kits, the other snarky slogans. They're all real quick. They're really good summer, kind of not thinking, watching TV. Let's get this done in like a day or two. The long one that took me the longest was I'd Agree With You, because it's a lot of letters. And a lot of letters aren't fun. So those are my back to school cross stitch that will be on display at some point. And yeah, it's back to school time already, y'all. I can't. What? So next, I want to tell you just a little bit about my works in progress. These are just a few of the ones that I'm actively working on. I guess the others are what are called unfinished objects, whatever. So these are my whips. And the first one, I know y'all have never bought duplicate patterns before, or bought a pattern, forgot you had it, and tried to order it again. So I wanted to do this one, and I saw that the Primitive Hare, she released it at Nashville, except it was stitched on the Bolin fabric that she does. And so I was going to order it from Nashville, and one of the workers at Pandas was like, I think I've seen that before. And she did. It was in the April 2017 Just Cross Stitch magazine. So she called a friend and she's like, hey, can you bring that magazine up? Christine wanted this pattern. And I think it was in that magazine. Can you double check? So she brought the pattern. She was going to let me borrow it. I borrowed it. I got home, and guess what I had in my stash? My own copy of the magazine. Why? For this pattern. Come on, cook. So this is how far I've gotten since about March. Is that right side up? Yes. I got the butt. I got the hind end done. I've got some of the border. And looking at it now, I'm kind of kicking myself because I'm sure I can finish this in no time. A lot of it, I gotta get used to this. Sorry, y'all. A lot of it is just filling in the hind end, the front. I don't know. I should just put it back on the Q snaps and just get it done with and frame it and hang it up. So I even know what I'm going to do with it. It'll be a gold frame. It'll be by some Tudor style, Elizabeth I style stuff that I have in my house. So the next one, I just started this one probably at the beginning of this week, last weekend, after I finished chronic anxiety, or crippling anxiety is my cardio. And this one comes from April 2018, Just Cross Stitch, Natalia Luneva's Spring Dollhouse. How cute is that? And then it's just adorable. It's got a little garden over here. Come on. And then the front door. And I don't have it on purple because I couldn't find any purple fabric. So I just got pink. Still springy. And I love it, but there's a lot of half stitches. And so each color has 3 symbols. One for a whole cross stitch, one for a half cross to the right, and one for a half cross to the left. So I'm almost actually done with this room. It's the living room with the fireplace, but the curtains are just, it's all half. It's half cross, and I needed a break. So I went on to the front hall. Alright, how cute, the front door. And then I got to the point where it's a lot of half cross. I feel no problem with half cross, it's just a lot. And then, so I decided to go and work on the front door, the outside of the house. I did that today. So, it's possible. I can finish this really quick, and it actually looks a lot better here than it did downstairs. But I have better light up here, so I can actually see the white. Downstairs, it's really hard for me to see the white on the pink. So that was a little bit of a problem too. That's why I had to tear out half of that living room. So that one's a more recent start. I've done that within the last week. After I said I was going to finish more projects, but I had just finished like 2 or 3, so whatever. And then I have this one. That's as far as I got. I started that back in January. I was going to do a stitch along on Facebook. Didn't work out. But it is Brenda Keyes. The sampler company is Over the Hills, and I bought that at the Stitching Post in Maryland when I went to visit a friend. I did change a little bit of the church, the lighter parts of the church. It was supposed to be ecru, but since that's the color of the fabric, I decided to change it a little bit. And I also kind of put this away for a while because life intruded. Last semester was rough. The kids were great. It was nothing to do with the students. But personal stuff got in the way. I was in a car accident. I had a student teacher. So I put this away, and when I pulled it out 2 weeks ago, the cat had gotten into it, and she has kidney problems, so I had to wash it. Not Cleo, the other one. But it came out good. The color's good. It's fine. So we need to get back on that as well. That's 36 count. And then the one I started today, which I swore I wasn't going to start, but it was just calling to me, is, I'll show you what I've done so far. Can you figure it out? Some blocks. Yeah, just some squares. It's Shakespeare's birthplace. See a theme in some of my stuff. I don't think this will take too long. It's a lot of the same color. A lot of lines, a lot of squares. The biggest problem I'm going to have is the key. It's a pattern from 1989, so it's hand-drawn. And part of the problem, I don't want to show you the charts. My working copy is in black and white, but some of the chart has red symbols. So you can see right over here, maybe. There we go. That we have 2 V's. And they're slightly different. One looks uppercase, one looks lowercase, but I really can't tell. So I have to keep the original with me to make sure that I'm not confusing 640 and 642. Because I've already torn out a little bit because I can't read the symbols, apparently. I'm trying to guess which one it was. This plus. Instead of 413, I did 400, which is brown, and 413 is gray. So a very dark gray. So I had to pull all that out and restitch it in the gray. But I'm looking forward to doing that. I've been there in Stratford years ago, and I'll show y'all pictures once I finally finished it. Whenever. And then I also have to go with this Anne Hathaway's cottage, which was his wife's cottage, the one she grew up in, I guess. It is now used as a museum. Been there. It's really cute. Typical English cottage with the really low ceilings and the timbers. And I don't think this will be too long of a stitch either, just because a lot of the colors are the same as the Shakespeare's birthplace. So I think it'll be very uncomplicated. And then I'm going to complicate it up. I'm going to screw something up. I'm going to make it complicated. I'm going to have to tear half of it out because that's how I roll. This is how I roll. If you don't screw it up, did you really cross stitch it? So those are my works in progress, and there's more. But these are the ones I'm currently working on. So hopefully I'll get back to Believe in Dreams. The unicorn one. And I can show that to you soon. Completed and finished. And I actually do have a finish that I finished recently that isn't back to school. But I think you'll like it, so I'll show it to you. It is Hocus Pocus by the Prairie Schooler, and I had the pattern somewhere, but I was organized, but I'm not. And that's it. And that took me 4 long years. I mean, but it's gorgeous, and I did do some changes at the bottom row. I moved the raven over to the middle so that I could put this cool owl bats combo on the front. And it was one of those extras on the back that you can make into an ornament. So I love it. It's a gift. I kind of don't want to give it away, but it's a gift. So, all right. Next thing, what I'm reading. Just kind of want to talk about what I'm reading, so maybe it keeps me honest and I'll read more books. History teacher, come on. Okay? Unicorn, Shakespeare's House, Birthplace, Anne Hathaway's Cottage. I kind of lean towards that stuff. So I'm reading a book about Mary Boleyn, and it's a really interesting book. And basically, I'm on page 92. I'm about a third of the way through the book. And I've read other books by this author. She did a biography on Elizabeth I, which was good. She did one on all 6 of Henry VIII's wives, which were good. The Wars of the Roses, and The Princes in the Tower. So I've read all of those. She has a few others, but I saw this at the bookstore, and I'm like, why not? You hear about her all the time. Especially since there's so much interest in Anne Boleyn. I mean, the Primitive Hare had some patterns out. I bought them, of course. I bought the fabric. I bought the scissors fob. Of course I did. There have been some movies out. The Other Boleyn Girl. And basically, I came to the conclusion with this one that with Mary Boleyn, Mistress of Kings is kind of a really ironic title because there's very little evidence that, she was, was she a very great whore? Probably not. My feeling is, right now, as I'm reading it, that she was seduced by Francis I of France. I know. And she was a teenager. She was seduced by him. And she's been slut-shamed for centuries. So that just seems to be a common theme. Almost, on par with Marie Antoinette, not saying let them eat cake. A lot of these rumors just perpetuate themselves throughout history, and you can't find a lot of proof over how they got started, who said it, was she really the Mistress of Kings? That's the interesting part. So far it's a good book. I like all her books. That's why I've read like 5 of them. So if you're interested in historical nonfiction, and just kind of, I find it really readable. If you like historical novels, I think you'll like her. I also like that she has endnotes. I love endnotes. The only thing I like more than endnotes are footnotes. So I need to read another chapter tonight. So if I could do that, hopefully I could say I finished it next time and start another book that I bought as well. So thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll be back with another one. I enjoyed it. And have a good one. Bye.